What's going on, y'all? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. This week, it's easy peasy by request. A defensive build around Bodyguard in Pathfinder 1st Edition. If you're liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, ding the bell, stay caught up on all your stuff. Remember, Patreon is the #1 way to keep all this shit cranked out. Gets you access to a bunch of cool stuff, including Google Sheets, where all of my 1st Edition, 2nd Edition Starfinder builds are put together, and can get you in some real cool games too. But for now, let's head in. Okie dokie, so before we get into the meat and potatoes, let's discuss the gimmick. God, how have I done this for fucking 5.5 years, and I've never just said that so perfectly. God damn it, pass Tommy. Anyway, Bodyguard, as I dive into this, Ray, if you're watching, I can literally hear you shout, Bodyguard, as I go to say this, requires combat reflexes, and says that when an adjacent ally is attacked, you may use an attack of opportunity to attempt the aid another action to improve your ally's AC. You may not use the aid another action to improve your ally's attack roll with this attack. Your ally's not attacking. Well, I guess, like, if their attack proc to ready to action, my head hurts. But what you see is what you get. A no action, essentially. Attack of opportunity being what it is. Resource to give people a bonus to their AC when attacks come in. Because this feat is so very easy and what you see is what you get, by definition, that means you can do almost anything with it. And I had a lot of people send me a lot of really interesting builds to play around with Bodyguard. Like, there's Cavaliers that are good at it, there are Samurai that are good at it, there are Fighters that are good at it. There's an animal companion archetype that's good at it. There's lots and lots of folks really, really good at bodyguarding, it turns out. But because at this point, if I'm going to still be making 1E videos, I want to do weird, crazy, over-the-top things, I'm going to take an entirely different point of view on the aid another build. One which I wish I said was my own. It's mostly not. Hey Grumpy, if you're watching, this one's for you. We're building on a wizard today. Yeah, you saw Arcane Bodyguard and you thought Magus, didn't you? There are a couple of very interesting pieces. Well, no, there are three. Three very interesting pieces that the wizard can bring to the table that make the aid another concept really interesting. The first of the three is being a full fucking caster. The second comes in the prophecy sub-school, I think is the proper term for this, of the divination school. Inspiring prediction is the whole fucking thing. As a swift action, a number of times per day equal to 3 plus your int mod, you can predict the success of your allies, granting each ally within 10 squares who can hear you a +4 luck bonus on their next attack roll, saving throw, or skill check. This is really, really cool for all the war priests and inquisitors with fates favored, who now have a +5 and, oh, I don't know, say you were a helpful halfling who might have aided another somebody's attack, that's casually a +8 from level 1. Isn't that nuts? That's so crazy. Let's go even farther with the Chronomancer. This trades out the wizard's very powerful arcane bond and the bonus feats that the wizard would get at 10th, 15th, and 20th, but in return, you get abilities to manipulate time, which is very on brand for someone who's trying to, like, play support, right? Chronomancers get a temporal pool with a number of points equal to half their level plus their int. From jump, the Chronomancer can expend a point from their temporal pool when they roll initiative to allow either themselves or an ally within 30 feet to roll 1d4 and add it to their result. At 5th, this can be 2 points to apply it to a save. At 10th, it goes to a d6. Likewise, as an immediate action after losing a spell because of a failed concentration check or casting a spell that had no effect, like SR, saves. What do you mean the fireball doesn't hurt the red dragon? Bullshit. That player's great, because they definitely didn't metagame. The Chronomancer can expend a number of points from their temporal pool equal to half the spell's level to immediately prep the spell again as if it hadn't been cast. Material components go away, actions are still used, but you get the spell back to try again later. Not only, if you're spending most of your time using your standard action to aid another and your swift action to mass buff the team, does that mean your kit goes even farther? Because, like, your standard action isn't always casting spells. Rewind can fill the tank up even farther. At 10th, when casting a spell, Chronomancers can expend 2 points from the temporal pool to also haste someone affected by the spell until the end of the Chronomancer's next turn. Yo dog, I heard you liked haste, so we got some haste to put on your definitely not haste, so you can haste when you don't haste. My head hurts. Then at 15th, if you want to play around with things like contingency, Not only can you set 2 contingents, the Chronomancer can also choose for the contingency to not go off by spending a point from their temporal pool as an immediate action. At level 20, at the end of the game, if you get super murdered, you can expend 10 points from your temporal pool to summon an alternate you from a parallel existence appearing up to 30 feet away, identical except being a member of a different race, as if you were reincarnated with half HP and prepped spells when the Chronomancer died. With same equipment but not artifacts, and same expended charges and things. It remains for a minute before it's sent back to reality. Up there goes gravity, but it's enough to like yoink your body back to another reality if you jam it in a bag of holding, I guess. But there are a lot of different ways to do it. This just looks really cool and really fun. And that basically is the crux of the build. As a standard action, you aid another. You make an attack roll. You're shooting for a 10. If you get that 10 with Helpful Halfling, someone has a +4 on their next attack roll. Then you can buff out everybody else. Almost like a bard, it feels like, but then with full wizard casting behind it. It's terrifying. Oh my gosh. I feel like the Helpful Halfling is so iconic, though. Like, I don't push back on this one as hard. You do you, though, if your GM doesn't like race lock traits. We're gonna lean in. We're gonna take Joyous Companion, since we really just need a weapon to threaten. Grab a long spear, you'll be just fine. Stay close to your friends, but far from the bad guys. Joyous Companion says that when you cast spells or use spell-like abilities of the Abjuration school or with the Emotion descriptor, they can confer a +1 morale bonus on saves versus fear on all adjacent allies for a number of rounds equal to the spell's level. Is this like super circumstantial? Yes, but you don't super need fearless, and you definitely don't need weapon familiarity. You're also going to be a wizard who wants to be really close to things and is probably going to be attacked. So I feel like lots of abjurations on yourself and your friends gonna be just par for the course for us. Likewise, because we're going to need it for a later feat, Fey Magic. Choose a favored terrain, 3 level 0 druid spells, and 1 first level druid spell, so like Goodberry and 3 cantrips the wizard doesn't get. If you have 11 Cha or higher, you probably do, when in the selected terrain, you can cast those spells as spell-like abilities once per day. Like I said, super important for later on, but never underestimate the versatility of Goodberry. Spell's very good. Our first trait is helpful, of course, making the aid another go from +2 to +4. And then for our second trait, this one's wonky, but I get tired of saying reactionary or magical lineage, your favorite spell. How about less effort? Select a spell belonging to the Abjuration or Transmutation school on your spell list. When you cast the spell, or it is cast on you, treat the caster level as 2 higher for the purposes of determining the duration. There are a lot of really good abjuration spells that are rounds per level. I'm gonna leave it to you for what you pick. We'll go over some key spells later in this video. +2 rounds on something you really want to keep ticking because it's life or death, though it seems worth a trait to me. For our starting ability scores, intelligence is, God, I guess still as important as dexterity. It almost feels like neck and neck. A lot of your spells won't be DC dependent, but you still want bonus spells. You need dexterity for more attacks of opportunity, for more uses of bodyguard. Honestly, I think those two are going to run just neck and neck. You're going to want constitution, you are D6 hit dice, and you're going to get attacked a lot. Wisdom because saves. Your charisma's got to be at least 11. 'Tis unfortunate, but it is what it is. Dump your strength. For our feats, we'll take combat reflexes at level 1, and we'll have a long spear, and nobody's gonna see that coming. I'm so surprised that this doesn't have a prereq of Bab 1. Who? Why? Damn it. Who didn't think of that? Who let that go? But combat reflexes gives you extra attacks of opportunity equal to your dex. That's, maybe my martial brain is turning on and saying, wow, why don't more wizards take that? But damn. Well, I guess we have like 7 strength is probably why. Don't worry about it. It's fine. True strike. I don't know. At level 3, we're going to take Magic Trick, though. We're going to choose Ranged Aid. Now that we have that Bab of 1, this allows us to use Mage Hand to aid another at Mage Hand's close range, as a ranged touch attack using our Dexterity to do everything that this build wants to do. Then Bodyguard at level 5, alongside Extend Spell as our first and only bonus feat. Like I said, there are going to be a lot of buffs with like rounds per that we're gonna want to keep ticking forever and ever and ever and ever. From here, this feels basically put together. This concept is really going to benefit from at least 2 marshals in the party, but I'm guessing you have them, and if not, like, summon them, wizard. then buff the shit out of them and watch them go to town, and then haste them later, and then ask that question, wow, you were really strong because of that. Did you kill them or did I? Next up, we'll grab Gang Up. We're ignoring combat expertise. Elephant in the room. Here's my variant. You know what it is. Follow this card. This says that you are considered to be flanking an opponent if at least 2 of your allies are threatening that opponent regardless of where you are. Don't worry about this. This is important for later. We'll take Lucky Halfling next because we have the whole once per day when one of your allies within 30 feet makes a saving throw. You can roll it too as if you were subject to the effect, and your ally may choose to use your save in place of their own. Your will save is better than the fighter. Your 18 is better than the rogue's 2. There's no action economy for this. It's just, here's a thing that exists and it leans into the big support build that Aid Another is, truly. Next up, this is dumb. This is the dumbest feat. Mostly because it's really shittily worded. Coordinated Blast. It's a teamwork feat. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about that in a second. This requires a racial spell-like ability, that Fey Magic we got, and 5 ranks in Spellcraft. This says when you use a spell or ability with an area, like Fireball or Channel Energy, you can exclude any number of allies who also have this feat from that AoE. So this is worded really badly, and there's not an FAQ to my knowledge. A spell or an ability with an area could mean Wall of Force, could mean Black Tentacles. I don't fucking know what you're going for here. I'm gonna presume such as Fireball or Channel Energy means like instantaneous area spells. But if you were standing next to all of your friends and just really needed to drop a Fireball instead of Aid Another, man, it would suck if they got hurt, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. The other half of that coin is the 3rd level wizard spell Shared Training. At 10 minutes per level, you select a teamwork feat that you have, this one. You grant this to allies within close range, 1 willing per 3 levels, no duration or 2 feet apart, you know what it is. Allies don't need to meet the prereqs. At 9th, you can grant 2, at 13th, you can grant 3, and at 17th, you can grant 4 teamwork feats. Suddenly, the other marshals don't care if you catch them in a cone of cold, you know, for when you're not where you're supposed to be, up front and center. Next up, the other proverbial shoe to drop here. Another teamwork feat, Harrying Partners. It's a real big one. Whenever you successfully use Aid Another to improve the AC, so like when you're bodyguarding, or attack roll of an ally who also has this feat because you gave it to them with Shared Training, the benefit lasts until the beginning of your next turn, as opposed to a +2 bonus on their next attack roll. So this is really badly worded. You have to look at the normal and how they both say the beginning of your next turn. This means the full attacks all have the buffs. This means with enough uses of Bodyguard, everybody has enormous AC forever and ever and ever. Spreads the love. It's good. It's good shit. More teamwork feats, more good. Next, we'll grab Team Up. We needed Gang Up for this. I sort of hate it. When you and at least 2 of your allies are adjacent to an opponent, so you and the Barbarian and the Ranger, or you and the Barbarian and your summoned Cheetah or whatever, you can aid as a move action, which means you could then move action, aid that one, standard action, aid that one, swift action, divination things, or like Quicken Magic, as it might be. Right, this is ludicrously easy to run, but has the backing of a tier 0 caster behind it. This one's rude. Because we can pass out more teamwork feats, why not in the buff round cast Trade Initiative on everybody? And after initiative is rolled, but before enemy's initiative is revealed, you may trade the results of your die roll, not including modifiers, with an adjacent ally who also possesses this feat. Everyone just stand next to each other. This one's a little wonky to finagle, but like you're also a wizard, so like the last spell you're casting is Teleport. And then initiative is rolled, and then at level 19 we're gonna take improved initiative. Say it with me, kids, because if you made it this far, why not? For our key magic items, the big 6. Important if you're not using ABP. Follow this card. The Benevolent Armor and Weapon Enchantment say that your Aid Another on attack rolls or AC respectively for weapon or armor lets you add the enhancement bonus of the armor to your AC, so that's eventually 4 from Aid Another, 5 a casual press a button. Here's a 9. Other than that, your Pearls of Powers, your wands, your scrolls, your things that help the wizard do what the wizard wants to do, slot right in here too. There are some teamwork feat based items that I feel like Inquisitors and Cavaliers and things want to take, but like Shared Training does all of that on a spell, so I think we should be fine. Hey, speaking of spells, let's talk about them. First and foremost, if you are going to be a wizard in the front row, you're going to be attacked by things, you're a soft target, you need to not be one. Stunning Barrier is like my favorite way to make this happen, and is a really good choice for less efforts, rounds per level to extend a little while longer. Things attack you, it's dispelled, they might get stunned. Likewise, mirror image is huge. I literally have someone at my tables who's played wizards for years and has continued to beat all of my monsters by casting mirror image and then walking into melee. To buy the marshals a couple of rounds, this will save your butt 10 out of 10 times. Likewise, blur and displacement's mischance, very, very useful and we love them. And then at higher levels, you don't often see these because I feel like the casters are doing other things instead of being in danger by this point, but we're a very different animal. So first, deflection. It's a 7th level spell, it rounds per level. Piece of rubber dipped in glue. Does it bounce off someone and stick to the other guy? Never much. Surrounds you in a whirling barrier of force that sends any attack that misses you hurling back toward its source. This applies to any melee or ranged attack directed against you so long as it uses an attack roll to determine whether or not it hits you. The attacker must make a second attack roll against their own AC using all of the applicable modifiers on the original attack, so if they smote you, they're applying that bonus to themselves or favorite enemy or so on. If it hits, the attacker takes the attack's damage and suffers all the other consequences of getting struck with that attack. Can't deflect attacks that miss you. Man, can you imagine if this worked with things like concealment or mirror image? God, this would be really good. But like when you need this, this is dope. Likewise, Sea Mantle at minutes per level surrounds you in a column of water, which is 30 feet high that you can swim up and down in, gives you improved cover, enables deflection, blocks line of effect for fire spells, gives you an attack, basically just buffs you and protects you from a lot of staple spells. Honestly, +8 AC, very nice. And it's like a pseudo fly speed. You can then be like 5 feet in front of people. Well, I guess at this point you're casting fly. Shut up. Don't do it. Don't cast fly. But the creme de la creme here, which we aren't doing anywhere near as much crazy shit as we could be doing. We're not playing Witch Ball today, but we should probably still talk about Ally Across Time. Not only is this super on flavor for our archetype, it's everything that we do. When we cast this spell, we create 5-foot cubes of temporal possibility where your timeline overlaps with parallel existences timelines. As a free action, you can summon a duplicate of yourself. This feels like that song from Majora's Mask that I can't think of the name of. From an alternate timeline in one of those cubes, it lasts until the end of your turn. It has your stats, threatens all squares adjacent to it, and has any teamwork feats you have. Not only does this give you the option to grant other people a flank, but it has all of your statistics and can aid another once to assist you. Once this happens, the temporal possibility cube dissipates, but like you're a helpful halfling, so they're a helpful halfling. So if you need to use magic trick to make your like scorching ray hit for sure, or whatever range touch attack, or like pad out your own AC. Man, I wish that could aid other people though. That would be so fucking good. If you really want to make entirely different terrifying things, ask your GM if you can be a halfling changeling and use like 2E rolls. Find a way to jam on the Coven Hex and oops, infinite caster level. Anyway, the Big Brother spell, Army Across Time, a 5th level spell for us, does the same thing, but you can summon 1 duplicate per caster level before the spell ends, and you can have 1 duplicate in existence at a time for every 3 caster levels you have. So this can then get arbitrarily high to cast again and again and again and again and again. Just use this to bodyguard your own AC or when you absolutely need something to stick. So, I have many thoughts. The first of which is fundamentally this is a really interesting concept to watch. I didn't really know the thing existed, and then it started happening at my tables. And at very low levels with like no resources, suddenly people are much better at stuff. And I think that makes that really cool. And second, when you staple this onto a concept like a bodyguard, that makes it all the more unique. I really like the idea of wizards as like sheltered introverts who don't associate with people that, God, nerds, basically. But then staple that energy on someone who's gonna walk straight up to the what's a fun monster segment and be like, no, shut the fuck up when the segment tries to like bite somebody. And then this causes them to like, oh shit, this guy's Karening, and then give allies a buff. It feeds into really interesting concepts. Really, you can also play this anywhere. This just requires you have friends who like to make attacks. I think you're gonna have that in Pathfinder. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think you'll have friends who like to make attack rolls in tabletop role-playing games? That's where I'm going to leave this one. You can leave your thoughts about if you have friends who like to make attack rolls in the comment section below. Until then, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.